There's a moment I will never forget. I was standing in a hospital corridor. The lights were too bright. The air smelled sterile. Everything felt slow and loud at the same time. A family stood a few steps away from me, silent. No one knew what to say. The doctor had just walked out of a room, and in that hallway, stripped of comfort and certainty, one of them whispered, "Please, God." Not a sermon, not theology, just two words. Please, God. And in that moment, I realized something. When control disappears, we don't reach for philosophy. We reach for someone. Today, I want to tell you why I follow Jesus. Not because life is easy, not because faith is convenient, but because in moments like that hallway, He is the only one who makes sense. Welcome to Beyond Belief. This is where we don't pretend faith is simple. We don't silence doubts, and we don't hide the hard questions. Today's bottom line is simple. I follow Jesus because He's more trustworthy than I am. Let me tell you why. There was a season in my life when I thought I knew best. I had a plan, a timeline, a picture of how things should unfold. And I prayed about it. Not for direction, for endorsement. Have you ever done that? God, here's what I'm doing. Please bless it. And then everything unraveled, not slowly, but quickly. I remember sitting alone thinking, I did the right thing. Why does it feel like loss? And here's what surfaced. Was I following Jesus, or was I using Him to secure outcomes? Because if I only follow Him when things go my way, that's not trust. That's a transaction. And Jesus didn't offer a transaction. He offered Himself. Let me tell you about a funeral I once attended. A young life, an unexpected loss. The room was heavy. You could feel grief physically, like pressure in your chest. The family stood at the front, broken, but steady. Not numb, steady. And as they spoke, there was a quiet refrain. We don't understand, but we trust Him. Now, honestly, part of me thought, how? How do you trust when your heart is shattered? And yet, what I saw that day wasn't denial. It was an anchor. Their grief was real. Their tears were real. But underneath it, there was something deeper. Hope. Not just optimism. Hope. Because if Jesus rose from the dead, death is not the end of the story. Paul writes in 1 Corinthians 15:55, "Where, O death, is your victory?" That only makes sense if the tomb was actually empty. And watching that family, I realized, if this is true, it holds in the hardest moments. And if it holds there, it's worth following. We all want control. We want guarantees. We want God to explain Himself. But here's what I've learned. Control feels safe, but it's an illusion. You can eat right, exercise, plan well, save wisely, and still get a phone call that changes everything. So here's the real question. When control fails, what holds you? Paul says in 1 Corinthians 15 verse 14, if Christ has not been raised, our preaching is useless and so is your faith. What he's saying is if the resurrection didn't happen, walk away. That's clarity. And here is what historians broadly agree on. Jesus was crucified. The tomb was empty. His followers believed they saw him alive. And those followers were transformed from fearful to fearless. People don't willingly suffer for what they know is false. Something happened. And the resurrection makes the most sense of the evidence. And if Jesus walked out of death, he is more qualified to lead my life than I am. Let me bring this down to everyday life. Have you ever sent a message in anger? You type it. You feel justified. You hit send. And immediately you think, oh no. We've all done that. And it created weeks of tension that could have been avoided with one thing: self-control. In that moment, your feelings felt wise, but they weren't. And that's a small example, but it reveals something bigger. Your instincts are not always trustworthy, but Jesus' teaching consistently leads to peace. Forgive, pause, be slow to anger. Every time you follow his way, even when you resist it, it produces better fruit than your impulses. That's not mystical. That's observable. Let me tell you about the night things shifted for me. No drama, no music, just quiet. I realized I was exhausted trying to manage everything, trying to protect my image, my plans, my future. And I said something simple. Jesus, I'm tired of being in charge. Not poetic, just honest. Now, I didn't hear a voice, but I felt release. Like putting down a weight I didn't even know I was carrying. Here's what changed. My circumstances didn't immediately improve, but my anxiety dropped. Because when you stop pretending that you are God, you can breathe again. Jesus says in Matthew 11 verse 28, come to me all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. That's not theory. That's invitation. So let me ask you directly. What are you really trusting? Your intelligence? Your feelings? Your strategy? How's that working for you? I had to admit something uncomfortable. When I run my life independently of Jesus, I create unnecessary chaos. When I follow him, I find alignment. Not perfection. Alignment. Here it is again. I follow Jesus because he is more trustworthy than I am. When I look at his life, his compassion, his courage, his authority, and when I look at the evidence of the resurrection, it makes more sense to trust him than to trust myself. You are following something. Everyone is. The question is not, will I follow? It's, who deserves to lead? And if the tomb is empty, that settles it. If you've been holding back, not because of evidence, but because of control, you can pray something simple. Jesus, I trust you more than I trust myself. Lead me. That's where it begins. Let me leave you with one picture. Imagine a room In the center of the room is a chair. Not decorative, not symbolic. It's the seat of control. For most of your life, you've been sitting in it, making decisions, carrying pressure, holding outcomes, trying to manage everything. And you're tired. You may not admit it out loud, but you're tired. Because you were never designed to carry ultimate responsibility for your own salvation, your own future, your own eternity. Here's the invitation of Jesus. Get up. Not because you're worthless, but because you're not God. Picture yourself standing up, stepping aside, and watching him sit down. Not nervously, not uncertainly, confidently. Because the one who sits in that chair calmed storms, forgave sins, and defeated death. The one whose tomb was empty. The one who said in John 19:30, "It is finished." Finished. Not try harder, not prove yourself. Finished. And when he sits in that chair, you don't shrink. You breathe. That's why I follow Jesus. Not because I have every answer, but because I trust the one who deserves the chair. If you've been gripping that chair tightly, you can release it right now, honestly. Jesus, you can have the chair. That's surrender. That's trust. That's the beginning of real freedom. And now, may you find the courage to admit you don't have to be in control. May you discover that surrender is not collapse, it's relief. May you experience the kind of peace that doesn't require perfect circumstances. And may you trust the one who walked out of a grave more than you trust your own fear. Thank you for joining me on Beyond Belief. If this resonated with you, don't rush past it. Sit with it. Picture that chair again and ask yourself, who's sitting in it? Until next time, keep seeking, keep wrestling, keep going beyond belief. God bless.